Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today in our On Our Block series. My name is Danny, and I am the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Social Impact Center. And today we are speaking with Bill with the Gay Elder Circle. Hey, Bill, how's it going?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for the invite. I'm so looking forward to this.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I just wanted to do a quick introduction uh, to the Gay Elder Circle. Uh, the Gay Elder Circle uh, is they're a Los Angeles-based organization that has worked in places like Long Beach and Orange County that helps serve our queer elders. Um, how long or how did the Gay Elder Circle get started?
So there was actually another organization a while back, which has since gone away. That live and breathe. Some organizations die eventually, and it was called 100 Gay Men. And 100 Gay Men had wanted to do something regarding elders and eldering in the community, and they held this event at Ed Gould Plaza in November of 2011. And from that, the Gay Elder Circle grew out of that event. Um, Don Kilhefner and Alan Page and Reverend Ed Hansen and Fred Wilkie and John Ruggles and um, Ray Hoganson, who are all members of the Gay Elder Circle, were there at that formation meeting. And as our mission statement says, what we do is, we kind of mentor adults and young men. We validate them in life. We try to live mindful and purposefully. And more importantly, we are visible in the community. We're not hiding in our apartments or something like that. We're not just kind of watching life go by. So that's how it actually started. So prior to COVID, we meet the second Sunday of every month at Plummer Park in West Hollywood. But COVID put a damper on that, so we haven't met at all. But we've kept in touch. So we usually put out a monthly newsletter, which we're behind on right at the moment, but we're going to send one out this week. And we've been communicating that way. And another benefit of COVID-19 is that our social media platforms have all grown exponentially. Our Facebook page, our Twitter page, Instagram, and LinkedIn have all grown. And I think especially this calendar year, and even though we're only, ending the first quarter of this calendar year and entering the second quarter, the demand for speaking engagements has increased, and the demand for speaking engagements about LGBTQ elders has increased tremendously. So that's a really good benefit for us from COVID-19. So it's really awesome.
That's awesome. Especially during these times, growth is it's not really seen, but it's good that you're growing and your community is growing, and especially because of the pandemic, the care for our elders is so important. Um, how would you, how do you feel about the intergenerational dialogue that we're having at this moment?
I think that is one of the main purposes of the Gay Elder Circle is to have these intergenerational dialogues. And the reason for that is for some people, it's not really obvious, but for people like myself and the members of the Gay Elder Circle, it's very obvious because we can talk to each other about being elders and the life that we've lived. But for someone younger or someone that's going to become a healthcare provider or someone that's going to be a social worker, if they're talking to their peers that they went to college or university with and their master programs with, so pretty much they're working in a silo of the educational institution where they're attending, or the silo is their peers in their program. But once you interject someone like myself or another elder who has this lived experience into their educational process, the dynamics completely change. And a great example of that is this series of presentations I've done recently at Cal State Long Beach, where the feedback I've gotten from students, the feedback I've gotten from the faculty was like, we did not know this. It's not in our textbook. We never knew this. And my response to them is, it's because you need people like myself who have this lived experience that we can bring into your educational setting, and we can enhance and bring this value added knowledge to what you're learning. And other things, like there is a older adult technology convention at the LA Convention Center once a year, which has been postponed 2 years now because of COVID. But what they do is they bring in these developers and they work with the older adults, and they let the older adults have hands on into the programs that they're developing. How are older eyes, looking at this through technology? Can they, navigate it easily? Are the color concepts easily adaptable for people who have vision problems and challenging? Are the color schemes okay? Because there's a whole science around, making web pages and print media accessible to people who are visually challenged or are colorblind. And sometimes people younger than us don't, you know, have this background or are not acknowledging it. So we can give that feedback. So whether it's to someone who's creating a web page or someone who's gaining knowledge in gerontology or health services or social work, having this value added lived experience brought into their, for developers or students in education, it brings an immense wealth to them. So when they're leaving their programs or developing and publishing their, applications, it's been older eyes have had a chance to have their input into it. And that really rounds out everything.
Technology, yeah, that's it's quite a struggle, especially, well, I live in a home with my grandma, and she's very hesitant with technology. Like, how do you uh, make that accessible, or make it more inviting to folks in the gay elder circle?
Oh, that's a challenge. It's always been a challenge for us because older adults, and I want to say older adults, being like late 60s, 70s, and 80s, they didn't grow up with social media as we know it today. So they're a little hesitant to get into it. It wasn't really that long ago in the history of technology where we had all these privacy concerns. And so, like, oh my God, I'm going to give up my privacy. We're talking to a generation that sends postcards and writes letters and still probably writes a check to send off their electric bill. So getting them to do online banking or send a donation through Venmo or something like that it's hard for them to give up this trust factor they have with sending a check through the mail or something like that. On the other hand, one of the benefits of COVID-19 is CARES Act funding, which a lot of service providers tapped into that. And we're going to see more of that in effect in this calendar year 2021, where they're going to do a lot more reach out to older adults and teach them how to use tablets and Chromebooks. And that's something that they really learned last year when they were handing out free tablets and Chromebooks and hotspots because of CARES Act funding. Because one of the things I said, like, it's great that you're doing this, but do you know your audience? And how do you know that the person that you're going to give that to isn't suffering from rheumatoid arthritis? For them to do a tablet will be very, very difficult. A Chromebook would be better. So you need to know beforehand what are the physical limitations or adaptations you need to account for that older adult. And then one of the things they left off the table to all the people I've interacted with in technology is voice assistants. I said, teach them how to use Google Assistant or Alexa or Siri, because this is the future. We're doing telehealth, and we need to teach older adults how to use voice assistants. So that's where I come from on that. So I do that. Even where I live, I have
Mhm.
2 voice assistants, a tablet, a smartphone, and 2 laptops. So I'm a little bit ahead of the curve.
Thank you for sharing that. Um, So aside from those topics, how how has the gay elder circle impacted you?
The gay elder circle has really grounded me, because when we're having our monthly meetings, we really delve into being mindful and really having purpose in our lives. And for gay and bi men, and I'm not going to speak about trans men, we've never had a trans man join the gay elder circle or asked to join the gay elder circle. We have no female identified people that are part of the gay elder circle. And that's not because we're omitting them, but it's because the gay elder circle is a safe space for cisgender males, um, because those spaces are rare. And so, if you are, with a group of, you know, your group, your peer group, and you're having a discussion and you're all the same gender and you're all the same gender identity, if somebody from outside your group comes in and talks and participates, you may consciously or not consciously be aware in how your dialogue changes, or that you might avoid talking about certain subjects. So being able to have a silo once in a while to talk about literally anything, and in this case, most of it's all being mindful and living with purpose, gives you a chance to like not censor yourself. It's a fair statement for me to say something like, if you have a group of men and a woman walks in, the conversation is going to change. We want welcoming spaces, and we do allow for that. When we have public events, everybody is allowed to participate in our public events. It's just our monthly meetings that's not allowed. We do make accommodations once in a great while for like a special speaker to come in, and we'll have that at the beginning of our meeting, but that doesn't happen too often. But that having all that mindful time, and I think one of our members, Alan Page, he says, you get to reflect before you respond, and we do a lot of that. And something goes on, like the COVID crisis, we look back in our history, where was there a similar event in our history, and how did we adapt to that, how did we change to that, how did we respond to it, and what is the response that we could put out there that's appropriate. And that's what it's good to acknowledge your past and your ancestors, because we're constantly learning from them. We don't think we know everything, and we constantly tap into that ancestor wisdom.
That's awesome. Would you be able to share a story about or that happens within the gay elder circle?
Um, it might be a little hard to put a story in there, but what I can say is our one of the quotes that we put out there and we repeat to the community is, if elders are lost, adults will be lost. And if adults are lost, youth will be lost. That's an African proverb, and we feel that that's very appropriate, because as elders in the community, or in, for Native American culture and in some African American cultures, it's the tribe. So everybody is communicating with each other. Everybody has their eyes on the community and are watching out for each other. Um, for gay and bi men, and more specifically for gay men, we're not heterosexual. We're not getting married to women, and we're not having children. Although a lot of that has changed in terms of getting married and having children. A lot of that's changed this marriage equality. But if you were a heterosexual male, your life story is, after high school, date, get married, have children, find a job. And so your life is kind of set, because gay men historically, um, don't get married and have children. They kind of get kind of lost there for a while before they maybe kind of become grounded again on the other side of that. And so it's very important to have organizations like the Gay Elder Circle or similar organizations, and there are similar organizations around the world that I'm in touch with via the internet, that acknowledge this process, and talk about being mindful and being purpose and staying grounded for the community.
That's super important. I love that messaging. I owe a lot of my own decision making skills and personality based off of my m- my elders. I appreciate and love and care for the elderly people in my community and in my family. Um, and that's great that you're able to foster those feelings. Are there any opportunities for volunteering with the Gay Elder Circle?
Not at present, but we do have some that may be coming up after COVID-19. During our public events, we can always use help promoting it and setting up tables and chairs and that kind of stuff. And then we, of course, we provide, lunch or dinner or whatever it is we're doing. And then I was in conversations not too long ago, about a month ago, with the LA LGBTQ Center. And we're looking at doing a joint event after all the COVID restrictions are lifted. And we're definitely looking for volunteers on that. It's going to be a very public event. We're not sure. We've eyeballed 3 locations to do it. So there'll definitely be volunteer opportunities at that. So the volunteer opportunities are few and far between, but when they are, we definitely welcome volunteers.
Great. That sounds like an awesome opportunity to engage with our elderly community. Um, in regards to um, these these future opportunities, like as a queer elder, like what are your visions of the future? Like what do you foresee?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think everything that all the networking that I've done over the past 12 months as it relates to COVID-19 is that virtual meetings are not going to go away. So I think meetings will change to being in person, and hopefully, technology will be accessible where they can become hybrid opportunities. So to bring those hybrid opportunities to be in person and online at the same time for small organizations like the Gay Elder Circle would benefit everybody. And then, maintaining our social media platforms and our website is definitely key in that growth and awareness. I think part of our growth has been from the LinkedIn, from the business community, the LGBTQ business community, and even the LA Area Council on Aging has joined us on LinkedIn. So it's really good that there's been these opportunities there, and that we've had that phenomenal growth in LinkedIn over the past year. And that I've just networking with a gentleman in Canada, so that was really awesome. So it's really awesome, and I don't see any changes in that. But how we, conduct meetings will definitely stay in place and raise awareness. And I think that sets the pace for generations to follow us, and maintaining that online presence and keeping that door open and staying abreast of technology. Don't be afraid of it. Embrace it and walk with it.
That's awesome. That's great advice. I feel like that you just gotta like keep up with the times. It's so hard though when you have like those I guess they're like habits, right, that form, and you're so used to you're so used to like having things a certain way. But it's good to adapt and roll with the punches.
Well, you know what they say, the only thing constant is change. So I think that's a good thing to remember. I mean, one of the things that we do, in that, and technology is structured. I mean, you have to have a developer that writes a program and it's going to do certain things. But what happens inside that program, like this video conversation, you don't know, anything can happen inside of it. You don't know what's going to say, somebody's just slip up or whatever. But one of the things that the Gay Elder Circle does is for our mental capacity and our physical capacity, we embrace that as we age, we're going to change. Our perspective is going to change because as you get older, you can look back on your past and like, did I learn something here? Did I not learn something here? Do I need to reflect on that and find out what the lesson was for me there? And those are some of the life lessons that I truly appreciate learning from the Gay Elder Circles, is spending a little bit more time to look at my own past and see like, this was my opportunity to learn at that point in time, and did I learn something? And I have those in conversations where I say, what, it's not a problem. What was the opportunity there?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a failure. You had the opportunity to learn something. And I think that for me, in my time with the Elder Circle, that whole process of seeing the opportunity and everything has really increased.
Wow, that's awesome. Um, it's I can't wait. I can't wait to grow old, you know? Because I too like wanna, share my wisdom and um like you said, our lived experiences, I think, and what our legacy, unfolds into. Especially now with our generations being more accepting and hopefully like um it's not as hard as probably what you've lived through, right?
That is correct. That's absolutely correct. But see, not everybody is an elder. Just because you become older, you're not an elder. So we kind of make a
Okay.
distinction there. You
Yeah.
have olders and you have elders. An older person is someone who just becomes older,
Hmm.
and they count the days and they read the obituaries of their friends who've passed away, and they maybe, stay home every day and watch television and reminisce about, back in the day, those old school times. And they're just passing time. And that's what
Yeah.
elders do. They're passing time. Elders, and this is significant for the Gay Elder Circle, we're giving back to the community. We're educating them. We're raising awareness. We are being those leaders later in life, and hopefully through our public actions, our visibility, we are mentors and role models for those in our community and those to follow us. And that's the difference between being older and being an elder. And that is that whole giving back, being a leader and giving back, passing that knowledge, your personal knowledge or the knowledge you've gained, back to your community, to people in your family that are younger to you, or and to people that want to network with you, like you're networking with us right now.
Thank you for making those distinctions. So I know we touched briefly on post-pandemic opportunities, but are there any current events that you want folks to know about that the Gay Elder Circle's doing?
Nothing critical, nothing right now. We're just kind of waiting for all the COVID restrictions to be lifted.
Hmm.
We're waiting for all of the community members to more or less be vaccinated so that we can resume in-person meetings. Because then I think we're really going to take off. I think what we could do with your organization is let you know about upcoming events where you could participate online. We've been invited in the past to do Ask the Elder panels where we have like 3 members um, come, and it's not necessarily to talk to you, but it's like, we give a short bio, like a short 1-2 minute, history of ourselves and the Gay Elder Circle. And then we flat out open it up to a Q&A. And the people that are in the audience, they can ask us anything about being older in the community, our work history, our life history. What was it like to be were you out at work, and what was it like, and how did you overcome it, or were there challenges, or those types of questions? Because a few years ago, I participated in an LGBTQ um, workshop, and it was LGBTQ in business. And the questions that it was at a university, and the students were asking questions like, can I be out at work? Can I be out at work and travel internationally? And so we were answering these types of questions. Well, yes and no. Do you work in California or do you work in Texas? Do you work in California or do you work in North Dakota? Where do you want to travel to? Do you want to travel to Europe or do you want to travel to Saudi Arabia? So these are things that I personally have knowledge of. In fact, I used to work at Comerica Bank and I was on their diversity and inclusion team. So I mentored them for my time there. And for a time, I also worked at Honda North America, and they have their PRISM is their equality, diversity, and inclusion team. So I mentored them as well. And actually, I did the same thing at Hyundai Motor America. And they have it's like Drive Equality is their diversity initiative. So I've actually had the opportunity to mentor business, internal, what they call business resource groups on being LGBTQ friendly in the workplace and inclusive. And I've been able to just like step up, walk up and say, I can participate, I can contribute, and this is how I contribute. Because I wasn't not afraid, because I'm already out. I was not afraid to be out, didn't have to worry about anything. And so having this comfortableness in the workplace and like not worrying about it is really good. Whereas somebody younger is like can worry about how, if not everybody can work at an LGBTQ center or a place like where you're at the Social Impact Center. Some people are going to definitely be working at, Ernst and Young or, Bank of America or some other organization that may traditionally not have a history of being LGBTQ friendly. So being able to tap into a business resource group that's LGBTQ friendly or an LGBTQ professional group is really good in having access to that knowledge. I think, let me explain on that, a couple of fronts on that. If anybody from the Social Impact Center wants to go become like, a therapist, we have a dotted line to LAGPA, the Los Angeles Gay and Lesbian Psychotherapists Association. So we can say, oh yeah, go talk to them and they'll tell you all about being an LGBTQ counselor or a therapist. And we have a dotted line to SCMLA, which is Southern California Medical Lambda Association. It's like, yeah, you want to go in healthcare, you're a doctor or a nurse or you're a radio technologist or something, go talk to them. So we have these dotted lines or these spider webs out that radiate from our group to other groups where we may not know the answer, but we can direct you to a professional group that may be better serving to you than to us.
Networking. Um, that's awesome. At, so now I have my gears churning, right? So I'm just like, I'm really fascinated that you've worked with diversity inclusion teams. Is that something that you've always been interested in, or how did you get started?
So part of my history is kind of being kind of a mini activist as it is. So I've contributed personally to the LA, Orange County, and Long Beach LGBTQ centers growing up as a youth and as an adult, and now as an elder contributing to two of them. But I was part of the original formation, the original participants who formed the original gay student union at Cypress College and Cal State Long Beach. So those didn't
Wow.
exist. Those did not exist before us,
Yeah.
which that's a whole interesting story unto itself. So, I would pass out flyers. I was out and visible on campus, way back in the day when nobody did that kind of thing and those clubs did not exist. So being at the forefront of organizing those kind of clubs on campus was really an awesome experience. Um, so being on diversity inclusion for me kind of over time is just a natural extension of what I was doing younger in life, especially now, because now, we're with the Gay Elder Circle and we do this. I'm also in the city of Long Beach. I'm the vice president for the Long Beach Gray Panthers, which is an advocacy group, and they advocate for things like Social Security, expanding Medicare, inclusionary policies for older adults, and making sure that things, like I said, are accessible for people who may be mobility impaired or visually impaired. And then you're familiar with PFLAG, right? So
What
in
what is PFLAG?
PFLAG, you don't know PFLAG. So PFLAG, so PFLAG is an acronym. It used to be Parents, Friends, Lesbians, and Gays, or Parents, Families, Lesbians, and Gays. Let's see, it was formed in 1972 and has been around ever since. And so it's a support group for parents who have LGBTQ youth. And there's chapters all over. In fact, in Los Angeles County, there's, let's see, Los Angeles. There is a Hispanic one in Boyle Heights. There's an Asian one in the API in San Gabriel Valley. There's one in Long Beach. There's one in the South Bay.
They're all
so,
over.
so they're all over. So for the one in Long Beach, I am their social media director as well. And I'm also on their speakers bureau. So we support parents who have LGBTQ youth. But since marriage equality, a couple of things have happened. A lot more older adults are coming out later in life. So we're seeing people who previously didn't identify as on the LGBTQ spectrum, now at 60 years old or 40 years old and above, now identifying on the LGBTQ spectrum. So PFLAG has embraced all of these people as well. And PFLAG has been a great resource for people who are transgendered as well. So we completely support them and transgender policies. So this is really good. And so for me personally, having these types of connections is really, really awesome. In fact, prior to you turning on the recording, I had talked about doing a presentation on Thursday for the Riverside County Area on Aging. So that's through another organization that I have a dotted line to, which is SAGE USA, which is a national LGBTQ organization. So I sit on their monthly roundtable. So when there's policies going on at the national level, I'm there right there with them. And there's kind of a dotted line to another organization called the National Resource Center on LGBTQ Aging. So I'm an official education ambassador for them on LGBTQ older adults. So my network is pretty big.
That's great. I mean, that's just accumulated experience, right? And finding ways to put your best into other places too. That's really awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
I think the benefit for me doing that, for having the network that I have, the benefit is that I'm talking to my age group and I'm talking to people that are older than me. I'm talking to adults, and by adults, I mean people between their 30s and their mid 50s. But I'm also talking to the younger generation through PFLAG. So I'm very fortunate that I got to talk to each generation in their language on their terms, whether it's face to face or, after COVID restrictions are, through Zoom meetings. But I don't know of any other of my peers that are actually on a consistent level that I am talking intergenerationally and crossing those lines and those barriers.
That is so fascinating. Well, Bill, I just wanted to thank you so much for your time. We're now closing out our online programming. What is the social media handle for the Gay Elder Circle?
Everything is Gay Elder Circle. So it's
Everything. LinkedIn, Twitter.
gayeldercircle.org, Gay Elder Circle on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram and LinkedIn. It's all Gay Elder Circle.
Yay.
It's easy.
Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to collaborating with you in the future.
Thank you so much. I completely appreciate you guys reaching out, your organization reaching out. Definitely let's stay in touch. And the events that I told you about, when the plans are finalized, I'll send you the links if it's open to the public.
Awesome. Thank you again, Bill. Take
You're,
care.
you're welcome. Thank you so much.